So this is where we've got to so far this morning. We just had a quick tea break. As you can see, we've got that front plate in position now. And we've managed to get the side seams tacked together. And it's solid as a rock, which is beautiful. That's what we wanted. It's holding these front edges in place, which is exactly what we wanted before we pull the sides in and even them out to give it the correct shape. You can see there that there's a bit of a kink in the top of that plate there. But once we pull this next frame forward, that kink will disappear and it'll become a nice gentle curve all the way to the back. And we'll use a batten. We'll actually use, you can probably see over there, a long piece of plastic tube. We'll use that, we lay it against the side and bend it all the way around, and where it touches we know it's good, and where there's a gap we know it needs to come in or out to even up the curvature so as it's even all the way through. And that's the important thing. It's got to look nice as well as be, or probably more importantly than technically correct, it needs to be a nice look. Obviously they've got to be very similar both sides, otherwise you get an ugly difference, but really the shape and the look of it is what's the most important thing to the eye. What we had on this corner here is once we got this plate pulled over at the bottom, we came up a little bit short, so you can see I've laid a piece in there, just a very thin piece, and just filled it. Use a thin piece of filler to fill that gap, but that'll be fine. Once that's welded and ground off, it won't even notice, it will just look smooth and nice. And so we've got that piece in place. We've taken the straps off, so there's just a few, you can see a few of the bars that we used to pull it in still in there. We'll cut them off later. We'll just break the tacks and pull them off. And where we're up to now is we've just put this beam in here. So the beam across the centre section of the windscreen area, and that beam, most of that will be cut out because from the top edge to the bottom edge of that slope, that will all be windscreens. There'll be 3 screens, one in the centre and one either side. So most of that beam we just that's used really for shaping and fairing. Once we put the windscreens in, that'll be trimmed out, a lot of that. So that's where we're up to now. We're going to put we've got to put the brace pieces, as I had mentioned earlier, put the brace pieces at the bottom of these frames now. I've got you can see a brace across the top here to hold it stiff. Once I place those bracing pieces at the bottom there, and at the bottom down here, we'll then put another brace on this side. I'll just zoom out a bit. We'll put another brace across this side here between the side of the boat and that frame edge. And what that will do is that'll make sure all of the aft area of the pilot house and the windscreen, that doesn't move. And so when we pull the side edges in along here, as you can see, that forward area is lent right over. As we pull the rear section over, this will stay steady and there'll be a gentle, hopefully the idea is there'll just be from about this point here, there'll be a gentle curvature that falls over all the way further and further until it creates a nice even sweep. So that's where we're up to now. We've got a bit of weather coming around. You probably can't see much of it, but so we are hoping, fingers crossed, that the clouds will just keep moving around us, but we won't get too much rain, because our plan is to get this all in place today. We're going to do this side first and get that exactly how we want it, or as close to as perfect as we can get it. And then, as I said earlier, props along this side so it can't move, and then we'll pull the other side in to match this side. And to do that, we've actually got a digital level here that we can use to keep the angles. You probably can't see it's magnetic as well, but you can see the digital panel there, and that allows us to make sure we can check between each side to make sure that the angles are the same both sides. So that's what we're up to next, and I'll bring you back later and we'll have a bit more of a look at that if the weather holds off. As I said, hopefully we're going to get this done today. So I'll bring you back later and we'll see how we go.